Canines are our passion. They are our addiction. They are our way of life, right down to the very core. And without them, we would be lost. The canines of this world really are something to behold. They assist us at work. They accompany us at home. And they perform for us in the field. No matter where we go, they are by our side. Canines really are a ride or die, and for that, we are grateful. This podcast will showcase working canines of various breeds and disciplines as we search for those canines and their handlers who are always striving to be the best at what they do. Those who are always grinding. Those who are always pushing the limits. Those who are always dogging. Join us on our adventures as it is sure to be a wild ride. I'm your host, Bryce Matthews.
And I'm your co-host, Stephen Basham.
And this is Semper Dogging. Because I just hit the record button. Welcome to another episode of the Semper Dogging podcast. I am your host, Bryce Matthews, and tonight I am joined by your co-host, Mr. Stephen Basham. What's up, big man?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Living the dream, working, trying to sit down here and pump out some content for these people.
Isn't that what we do? Just work.
Every day, got to make a living.
Yeah, if that's what you say it is.
Hey, who'd you con on here with us tonight? This is all you're doing.
I have conned Hannah to come on here. Me and Hannah kind of go a little ways back. I took her for a swim in the old Yankee Town bottoms one night at Super Stakes, and I don't think she's ever let me live it down ever since then.
We're going to have to get into that.
Welcome on to Semper Dogging Podcast, Hannah. We appreciate you coming on. How you doing today?
I'm good. Tired. Been working with some puppies.
Oh Lord, we'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. Go ahead, Bryce.
No, absolutely, guys. So Miss Hannah Faulling, she's joining us all the way down from South Carolina, and I believe that's where you're from, right? South Carolina?
Yep.
Yeah,
Low country.
That's right. It's that Grand American Hunt. That was in your backyard then.
Yep, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's a lot better than I think it was like 11 hours for me or something like that.
Oof.
Ooh, long way down there. But it's
That's
fun
about
hunt.
How far it is to Autumn Oaks for you, isn't it?
Probably around about 11 or 12.
Ooh.
Hey,
Your back door.
Yeah.
That's just the things we like to do to follow these dogs, though. It don't matter what that GPS says. You just load them up and go.
That's right.
No, guys, so we brought Miss Hannah Faulling on here tonight because she is going to bring something different to the Semper Dogging podcast. She's got a little something to bring that nobody else has had yet. So she falls right in line with us, though, as coon hunters, though. You heard that little snippet there about how Basham and her went for a swim down the Yankee Town bottoms, and I want to hear that story later. Hannah,
He didn't go swimming.
No.
You went swimming?
No.
I was the only one that went swimming.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a second because I want to hear that story, and I like a good story. But, guys, we brought Miss Hannah on here because not only does she fall right in line with us with the competition coon hounds, her and her husband, they got some top hounds that they've been pushing in the hunts here lately, and, you know, they travel to all the major coon hound events. But Hannah also is into a totally different breed of dog. And, Hannah, I'm not even going to butcher which one it is. Why don't you just tell us?
All right, so I'm into the Old English Bulldogges. They're a recreation of the old bull baiting dogs that were in the 1800s. So they have a lot more leg, a little bit more muzzle, and they're supposed to be void of all the health issues that the modern day English Bulldogs are plagued with.
Awesome. And not only like are you into them like just as pets and like that's your I want to say like a breed of choice because I know you're into your hounds as well, but a breed that you fancy. You are heavily involved with using them as working dogs as well, and maybe not in a typical fashion of what I would think of a bulldog to be used in.
Yeah, so our male, I actually do flyball with him, which is it's a very intense sport. Your dog has to be mentally sound. They really have to be able to handle a psycho environment. It's loud and obnoxious, and it takes a lot it takes a lot of dog to be able to run, and then do it well is even harder on them.
Absolutely.
Well, for our listeners, why don't you explain exactly what Flyball is?
So Flyball is it consists of a team of 4 to 6 dogs. They you have a start dog, which is your first dog, and then you have an anchor dog, which is your last dog. So your start dog is normally your more green dogs that are new, like Piston. When I run him, he's start dog. So if somebody drops a ball, he's not worried about that ball. So that's why he's start dog. But the team consists of 4 to 6 dogs, and then you can rotate dogs in for different heats. So when you have a green dog, you can let them run one heat and then let your veteran dogs run the rest. So you kind of ease them into it. So you have your team of 4 to 6 dogs. You have a tree. It's kind of like drag racing and a relay race put together with dogs. So you have a box loader at the end, and then you have your 4 dogs. They're all ready. You have different markers with a tape measure that you start each dog depending on how fast they run, what dog they're running into. That's where you figure out where you're going to be standing at when you turn your dog loose. So they jump over 4 jumps. They hit a box that's spring loaded, and you really want their box turn to be perfect, because if they don't, they'll damage their shoulders. So what they do is when they hit the box, it's spring loaded, the ball shoots out, they catch it, and then they bring it back.
Whew.
That's a lot going on, and a lot more than what I thought.
Man, oh man, I thought it was just a dog chasing a ball.
Yeah, no, it took a year and a half to train him, and we just debuted the first week of November.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's about like the hounds.
Man, oh man. So on a typical day, how long would you say that you spend training, and where exactly do you even start at?
Yeah, that's what I want to know, because I've been following this journey on Facebook, and I'm like, from like day one, I've been following this, and I'm like, all right, we need a breakdown, because these listeners, or if they're gonna anything like me, ain't got a clue. They're mind blown right now.
Yeah. So what you do is you start out looking for. Well, I started out with him because he loves a tennis ball. He's obsessed with tennis balls. So I thought, how you think, it was a lot more simple than it is. And so I looked up clubs in my area, and I found the Florence team. And it was crazy because the first couple times that we were supposed to practice, it got rained out. I had something come up. The first practice we went to, our captain forgot her key, so we weren't able to practice that day. So we just did a meet and greet. It was rocky at first.
Man, that is a big bus.
Yeah. So it's kind of disheartening a little bit. And
you just threw her under the bus. Come on, Hannah.
Yeah. Back it up. Bring it on back.
Keep going.
All right, put it in drive. Keep going.
Okay. So practice, you normally are there for a couple hours depending on the time of year. Like we practice all year. We practice outside on grass at the Florence YMCA. And so depending on time of year, it depends on when we start practice. So that's about an hour and a half drive from here at our house.
True.
So I sometimes will have practice at 7 a.m. in July because it's so hot. And so, I'll leave at 5:30 to get to practice on time. And then like when it gets cooler, like December, January, practice doesn't start till 9 or 11. So we're normally gone 2-3 hours, and then the hour and a half drive back home. So yeah.
How do you fit coon hunting into all this?
So we normally only practice once a week, so it's not too bad.
Okay.
But I just plan my Saturdays or dog sport days.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, because Chad ain't gonna let you off the hook and just not go coon hunting.
No. I get mad when he leaves me behind.
Halt. I've got questions.
Okay.
I've got questions.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Break it down, because
Here we go.
I'm telling you, man, it takes me a while to process stuff. So
His
you
ADHD kicking
started, Basham. Shh. So you started with a tennis ball. Your dog had prey drive for a tennis ball.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said you have to jump over 4 hurdles, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and then you have to grab the ball at the end, and you got to run back across the 4 hurdles.
Yep.
Okay, what part came first? Like learning to catch the ball at the end or jumping over the hurdles? Walk me through the process. Like break it down.
So the first part that you practice is you throw a ball and see which way your dog turns. So when you find out, like piston turns to the left, and how you do that is you throw a ball like 5 times, and whichever way they turn more is their more dominant turn. So the first part is that. The next part is recalls, making sure your dog has a good recall, because they are off leash the entire time that they're running. They're off leash. So then you get it looks kind of like a yoga mat, and you just practice getting your dog on it and getting off. So they learn that they've got to step on something and get off.
Okay.
And then you have what we call a hit it board. Once you master that, you go to the hit it board and you let them get on, get off, get on, get off. Then you prop the hit it board on the box. So they're having to learn to get up. And like I was saying earlier, their box turn is everything. So you really just, muscle memory, constant. And once you get that box turn down on the hit it board, you take it away, and then you can start on the box. So that takes months sometimes to get that far. And then once you get your box turn on the box, you start adding in 1 jump at a time. And it's just so mentally stimulating. They get tired real quick, so you can only do little bits at a time.
Right, little bite-sized chunks.
Yep.
Okay, and the reason I asked that is because I've seen some pictures and videos, and it looks like, especially like in the winter months, you're in like a big building, and there's a bunch of these lanes, almost like a competition swimming pool, almost.
Yeah. So those are our tournaments. And we're in Region 9, so we go Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and our team does make the trip to Athens, and we run in the Athens tournament as well. So those are, and it's a lot of work doing a tournament because you have 7 mats, and they're heavy. They're huge, and you have to roll them out, you have to tape them down, then you have to tape measures down, then you have to set up gating. And it's a lot. It's a whole day shebang to set up for a tournament.
So your team is providing all that stuff? Like you got to provide that and take it with you?
So each team does that. And then the tree and the timers that we use, they travel throughout the region. So whoever's at a tournament that's going to the next tournament, or that's hosting the next tournament, are the ones that get that equipment. And it's very expensive. So we only have 2 sets for our region.
Now,
Okay.
After these tournaments, do you advance on from there? Is there something after these tournaments, or are they just individual tournaments?
So they're just individual tournaments. And you do have like an overall winner in each division. So you go based on seed times. So when you're at a tournament, you have somebody writing down stats. So you look at how fast each dog is running, then their average for the weekend is how you figure out what your seed time is for the next tournament. And if you go over and you break out, and you do that 3 times, you're not allowed to really qualify to finish overall.
Okay, now this is just stemming all kinds of questions.
It's chaos.
So it's a team sport.
Yes.
Okay, question number 1. Did you have to try out for the team?
No.
Okay. Question number 2. Can you be booted off of the team?
So there are some people in each team that did not get along, and you just kind of find what team fits best for you. It's mostly predominantly women, so I will just leave it at that. You do have the
Bryce,
that get
Bryce.
drugged around, but
Basically, what she's saying is, Bryce, you don't have no hope.
Oh, man, I was getting excited. I was going to take this little black lab I got laying here and get her to Flyball. Okay, now, gosh darn it, why you got to derail me like this? Okay, back on the track. So, what happens if you get to an event and let's just say you pull Piston out of the car and he's ready to go, and he runs his first heat and he sprains an ankle or mess up his shoulder. Now, how does that work for the team? Like, do you guys have a sub? Can you sub a dog in?
So that's part of the 4 to 6 dogs.
I missed that at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, you always try to have. There's been some tournaments where we only have like 6 dogs and 6 people, and sometimes we only have 5 people. So you normally always try to have an extra, and it's a really good sport because say you went to a tournament and you only had 5 people, and you have to have a ball shagger, you have to have 4 people running, you have to have a box loader, so you have to have a whole crew of people just to be able to run your heats and your race. So a lot of teams will barter each other so that if somebody else is needing help, you can just kind of have people help you out. And everybody's always great about if you need an extra person, they'll be willing to help you out. Like one tournament, there was a little girl who was saving money, and she got paid $1 for each race that she shagged for. And I thought that was really cool because her mom was teaching her, you got to work, because she wanted to buy a raffle item.
So obviously this was something new to you, and I think Bryce and yourself being in the coon hunting world, we all know how different fancies of the dog world can kind of be cliquish as far as, hey, you don't belong here. Being that you just kind of started this, how did you perceive the welcoming from that group of people, and how has it developed since then?
Oh my gosh, it has been the most welcoming sport I have ever participated in. Everybody's there to have a good time. I think part of it comes from the fact that yes, you're on a team, and yes, you can qualify and win overall, but really it's just about the individual handler and the dog. Because even say you had somebody who was on your team and their dog had a fault, and you didn't win the heat. If your dog did well, you still get points on your dog. So it's not really, it is a team sport, but as long as you and your dog do good, you're rewarded for it. And you get titles just like everything else.
Okay, so I'm breaking it down. It's almost like a track meet. You are competing as a team, but you're also competing individually. So you can still do well yourself, but you're accruing, like your whole team is trying to accrue points to win the overall?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, and then is this done in a registry, or is this like a specific flyball group? Like, is it AKC, UKC? Like, how is this ran?
So there are 2 different flyball, what is the word I'm looking for?
Organizations.
There's 2 different flyball organizations. There's NAFA, which is a North American Flyball Association, and then there is UFly, and I don't run UFly, so I'm not really sure what it stands for. But those are the 2 organizations that are really popular.
Right on. Okay, so on top of that, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've just been following along on this Facebook journey. Not only are you wanting your dogs to perform well during your meet for flyball, you are breeding these bulldogs to be conformationally sound, because you show these dogs as well, correct? Yes. Okay, walk me through the show circuit. Take me through all this, how you're using this same dog to be multi-purpose.
So I actually got Piston for my husband, and he had an Old English Bulldog for 14 years, and loved him, said he was great. I always thought they were ugly. And, just a walk-in vet bill. So we had a friend that bred them, and I got one for him for Christmas, and he kind of took to me, and I was looking at him, and I said, well, he's, pretty nice conformationally. And I was like, well, I'll do his genetic testing. So I did his genetic testing, and he came back with 1 marker of CMR1, which is one of the 3 most popular or the most common genetic diseases within our breed. So I was like, okay, single carrier. And then so I decided to get his hips and elbows done through OFA, which is not very common in our breed at all. It's really, really sad to see how many people do zero health testing other than Embark or Wisdom Panel. And so I did that. I did his hips, elbows, tails, cardiac, eyes, and thyroid. And he passed everything. So I decided to start looking for a female to breed to. And I talked to a breeder in Missouri. Her name's Diane Ursoy. She has Sir Bentley Kennels. And she was very welcoming. She told me the ropes, how to get signed up with UKC. And we talked like that for a while. And she had some really nice Old English Bulldogs. So I was talking to her about breeding our male, and she had a litter on the ground. She had a female that she was planning to keep, but she really couldn't run with her because she was running hard at the time in UKC. And she decided to send her out on a co-own with me. And part of our agreement was she had to become a UKC champion. So I'm like, okay, let me try this, because I've shown on bench shows, but I've never shown conformation. And so I found a club in Charleston, and there was a great teacher. She showed Irish Wolfhounds. So she helped me really bond with Piston and show him what I wanted as far as the different movements and everything you do with conformation to really set your dog up. And I started showing and met several friends along the way.
So now that you, at this point, had embarked on the conformation side of it, which one would you say is more challenging, the Flyball or the conformation?
As far as
just training the dog to do what it is that you want it to do.
Oh, Flyball all day long. Flyball all day long.
I would have assumed that, but I was going to let you
I would
answer that.
assume, but however, I think people overlook just how much training it takes.
That's a true point.
To
Very valid.
do a stack.
Yes.
You know, to have a dog walk and to just naturally stack. I think people overlook just how much training that actually takes.
Valid point.
It's a lot.
Okay, so you have the Bulldogs, the Old English Bulldogs. We talked about how you went through the Flyball. You're into the conformation. Is there anything else you want to do with Piston? And you have another Bulldog too, don't you?
Yep, we have Cleo, who's from the Sir Bentley Kennels with Diane.
Gotcha.
That we co-own.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so is there anything else you're wanting to do? Like, are you wanting to really just jump out there and try to learn something new, or are you going to stick with what you got?
So right now, his main, he loves Flyball. And so I really don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I would love to try PSA and bite work with him because I think he would do well. When you start that, you really have to keep on it to be able to train them correctly. And I just don't have the time for it. One of his puppies, actually, she just started doing the PSA training, and she's doing really, really well with that.
Awesome. Basham, what do you got on PSA? What do you know about PSA training?
Well,
Didn't you
explain
do
that for us a little bit, Hannah.
Which one?
The PSA training.
So I'm not very fluent, so I'll probably butcher it. It's basically, well, you have to spend as much time training with that as anything else.
It's more like a protective dog, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
It's more of a sport than it is protection because you really don't train them to bite people. You train them to bite the sleeve. So it doesn't take as aggressive as a dog as like Schutzen, which is a little bit more demanding of a dog. And that's really where you see the Malinois and the Shepherds.
So speaking on it from my behalf, so a lot of your PSAs obviously is a lot, like you said, a lot of a sport. It's kind of like how you have bird dog competitions where they chase an object. It's kind of the same thing as far as just having an object or even the tennis ball. It's almost the exact same stuff. I've never really got into the competition and, how that works. Mine was always just straight up bite work for a specific purpose, and that was for defense. So to sit here and say that I'm fluent or that I know anything about the actual competition side of it, I really have not studied into it. Actually, I'm interested in it. I'm definitely going to go look into it and see exactly what it is. But as far as the bite work goes, I mean, I've trained a lot of dogs and done a lot in that. But I think it's a tad bit different.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I didn't, honestly, until right now, I didn't know there was competitions for it. I honestly thought people just use them legitimately for the sole purpose of protection, and that's it, protection. I didn't know there was competitions in it. So, the Semper Doggin podcast is proudly presented to you by Froggy Bottom Outdoors. Froggy Bottom Outdoors is the newest outdoor and hunting supply, habitat management, and livestock feed provider in the Midwest. With a wide variety of products, a unique business model, and a dedicated team of individuals who are eager to provide their customers with an unparalleled shopping experience, you will not have to search any further than Froggy Bottom Outdoors. With brands such as Garmin, Yoder Nylon, Banks Hunting Blinds, Razor Hunting Gear, Purina Mills, Kalmbach Feeds, Anuksha, Real World Products, and many more, Froggy Bottom Outdoors has you covered from the farm to the woods. Visit FroggyBottomOutdoors.com today and follow them on Facebook to see how they can help you. Not finding what you're looking for online? No problem. Feel free to give the store a call at 765-330-2098. The team at Froggy Bottom Outdoors is excited to get to know you and would be glad to answer any questions you may have. I want to transition away from the Bulldogs because that's not how I met you or learned about you. I've known about you for a while through the Coonhounds. So don't spoil it if you can't for anything that your husband has going on, because we're going to nail him down for a podcast too. But give us a background on you and the Coonhounds, because I believe, is that how you and Chad met?
Yes, it is.
All right, tell me the background. Where did you come from on the Coonhounds, and what have you done for yourself? Because you're not just the wife who goes to the hunts with your husband and sits at the clubhouse or sits in the truck. I mean, you're involved. You're in it. Give us the rundown.
So I started coon hunting about 10 years ago. I knew a guy that had a litter of puppies. They were accidents, and he was just giving them away. So I got one, brought it home. Of course, my mom was like, absolutely not. We're not keeping her. We're not keeping her. And I knew I had been coon hunting one time with a friend of mine. And so she wasn't really supposed to be a coon dog. She was just supposed to be a pet. And so I raised her in the house. And for the first 6 months, she was in the house. She was a house dog. She went to rodeos with me. So she was a pet first and foremost. And I got invited to go with some buddies of mine. And I took her. And her second night in the woods, she got on the tree at 6 months old with other dogs. So I said, okay, I'm going to try this. And so I started talking to some people, and I found some guys to go with. And so I didn't know anything. I thought when they treed that they had something. So I was petting her up every tree she made. You know, I had my little academy waders, like fishing waders. And I had a little light on my head that was like what you deer hunt with. You know, you walk out to the truck. So I probably messed her up and didn't realize it at the time. I was just listening. You know, she'd go 300 yards in tree, and I'd be petting her up. I'd be like, well, I can't see anything, but I know if they tree, they've got it.
I just appreciate the sincerity in it, though. You know,
yes.
You love that dog, and there's the sincerity of it. This is what I did. I love it.
Yes.
Could you imagine just the thoughts that were going through her head when that dog would just run in there and tree every 300 yards? He had to be the happiest person in the world.
Because, that was when I started, I was like, oh, you can't hunt a dog that you raise in the house. You can't, you'll spoil the hunt out of them. And I'm like, yeah, she's hunting. I mean, she's treeing, And so.
She's sitting there thinking, Bryce, man, this is easy. What's everybody talking about?
Yeah, it's so easy. And so I went with one of my buddies back when PKC had the guest hunters. And I hunted with his dog in my first competition hunt. Didn't win, but I enjoyed it. And there were so many rules that I had to learn. I'm still learning all the rules now, 10 years later. And so I took Bonnie, her first PKC cast. She treed a coon, and I won. My first PKC cast ever.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, beginner's luck all the way. and I didn't know half the rules. And then, so
Don't feel bad, Bryce. Still don't.
and so she's a very hard tree dog. So I went to the Grand American the first year. She didn't win the treeing contest. And then the second year I took her, she won the treeing contest. So, you have this trophy that's as tall as you are.
Wow.
And she had like 82 barks in a minute or in 30 seconds.
But that's a big deal. Like the Grand American Treeing Contest, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Huge.
That's a big freaking deal.
Huge.
Yes, it's huge. And me being new, not really knowing everything, and I went with one of my girlfriends who she coon hunted too, and won the treeing contest. I won probably close to $900,000 in treeing contests, just all over where my parents are upstate. And I went to Bear Bays and all kind of stuff. Won plaques, trophies.
She's
money.
over here sharking these guys at these treeing contests and bay contests.
Yeah,
sharking them like an old pool shark.
Yeah, it was very nice, and I made her a PKC champion and a night champion, and she had like 3 wins to grand, but I just kind of didn't really like UKC that much, so I was sticking with PKC. And then let's see, and then I bred her to a male in the area named Sambo, and she had
Sambo. Sorry. Sambo. That's the same dog that Caleb Griffin's dog is out of?
It's the one that Wes Hamby had.
I think that's the same dog. Yes, I think that's the same dog that Caleb Griffin's dog is out of.
That one world,
That's the one where he got it stripped from him? Yeah, the only dog to ever have a title stripped. Oh.
First crossbreed to win the UKC hunt too, or the world hunt.
Yeah, we will tread on from that one.
Yep.
Sorry, I hate to keep derailing this train, but you're bringing up some good stuff. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Okay, keep going. So PKC was Sambo. Bredder Sambo.
Yep, Bredder Sambo. This was my first litter of hound pups. And looking back now, I probably shouldn't have bred her, but I loved her, and now I'm like, she really wasn't the quality of a dog that should have been bred. But that's hindsight when you're hunting and it's your first dog and you love them. And luckily she never ran a deer, so I never had to worry about deer. But she had 13 puppies in all. She had 2 emergency C-section again. And she raised 9 she raised all 9 that were born alive. And so here I am. I have a 4-year-old dog that should be in her prime. And then I keep 2 puppies off of her, which is the worst thing you can ever do, is to keep more than 1 puppy. Had to go through that learning experience of you can only hunt 1 dog. You need to put all your time in 1 dog. Don't keep 2. Just, you need that 1, and that's the only one you need to hunt at a time.
I disagree.
Well, I didn't have the area to hunt a dog either. Nonetheless, 3. And I did try several times. I would take all 3 of them together. And two pups that are 6 months old and a 4-year-old dog that's really not finished. So and I put handles on all my dogs. Speaking of the creek or the water incident.
Yeah, you're not getting off that hook. We are gonna hear that story.
Yes. And so all my dogs have handles. So I would be carrying a coon out with my gun and 3 dogs walking, heeling up to me. So that's one thing I put into all of my dogs when I start them as puppies is that handling is worth every penny. And then
it'll keep you from getting wet.
Yeah, very much so, especially when you're just right across the slough from a dog. So then I really kind of piddled with her and I enjoyed her. Then I tried hunting her pups and they didn't turn out. So I washed them. One of them, she loved squirrels, so I gave her away as a squirrel dog. The other one couldn't handle correction, so I ended up just keeping her, spaying her. She's with my parents now as a pet. But like I said, she had a handle. She was crate trained. She was housebroke. So she transitioned into a pet very easily.
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed in just listening to you talk is like very aware, I guess, of and I don't know how to say this, very aware of dogs. I mean, you're talking about very knowledgeable of like the health issues that come with the Old English Bulldogs, all these different types of tests, talking about the pups. And, you realize looking back, hindsight 2020, that maybe that dog wasn't the caliber dog that needed to be bred. Like, our dogs, it's very easy to tell dogs. You're just very involved in, like, they are your life.
Yes, they are.
Not just in the Flyball, not just in the conformation, and not just in the coonhounds. What else do you do that is dog related?
So I'm also a dog groomer.
Aha.
So it's they're 24/7 dogs, 24/7. My dogs, other people's dogs.
Dog whisperer.
My husband calls me a dog whisperer.
Well, I mean, she really is. She is simper dogging. Miss Hannah Faulling is always dogging. And that's evident
always
to see.
Dogging. Might as well give a shout out. What is the name of this grooming place?
So it's Grooming by Hannah, and I'm in Bono, South Carolina. And I actually go into the grooming section of my life. I apprenticed under a lady for a year. She groomed for 50 years. Taught me everything there was to know about everything grooming. And so I took over, I bought her business and her shop and her clientele. And then me and my husband met. And so I started building my clientele down here while also working upstate. So I would do 1 or 2 dogs here, and then I would work upstate. And it's a 3.5-hour drive. So at one point I was here a week, upstate a week, here a week, upstate a week. So I was making a 3.5-hour commute back and forth.
I'm worth it.
Oh God.
Hey, I feel you though. I did that.
Chad. Amen.
And so so that's, when you're a business owner, you have to really make a lot of sacrifices. And, my coon hunting, it kind of slowed down a little bit. And we actually met through a litter of puppies.
Oh, it's like a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Here we go. More puppies. More puppies.
And so Chad had a male that he won the world hunt with, and he bred him one time before he was sadly killed in a car wreck.
Wait a second. Back up. Won the world hunt. Which world hunt?
He won the AKC, the 2010 AKC World Hunt.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. Just learned a nugget of information.
Yep.
That was Cletus.
That was Swift Creek Cletus was his name. And he won
the Super Stakes.
He won his junior super stakes as well, or senior super stakes as well, and got in the final 4 of his sophomore and junior, right?
Yeah.
All right, easy.
You're spilling the
for
beans.
all of our listeners, we don't want to give up too much information about Chad, because before this ever started recording, we fissured Chad into agreeing to sit down with us on his own podcast. So
that was my fault.
That on future episodes.
That was my fault. I brought that on. I went down that rabbit hole. I apologize.
And so
back to your Hallmark movie.
Yes. So he bred Cletus and got 2 puppies, and he hunted a female that he really, really, really loved. And then he bred her to a male named Swift Creek Churn, who passed away in the late 90s, early 2000s. And Tim Kramer owned him and won a ton with him. And he was an older dog when Tim was hunting him, but he was a coon dog. And so he bred Flossie to Frozen Seaman, and she had 6 puppies. Well, I had a friend in Georgia who had gotten out of hunting for a while, and he was about my dad's age. And so he was like a coon hunting dad, sort of. And so I was talking to him, and he had a dog off that line that Churn. Well, he had a female off Churn that he loved, and he loved that line of dogs. And so a mutual friend of ours, Elvis Black, actually, I was talking to about breeding one of my females to his male called Hitman. And he was like, well, I know somebody that's got some really, really nice bred puppies, Walker puppies, and you should go meet him. And so I drove down to look at the puppies, and then we went out to eat, and he's just like me. We can talk and talk and talk. And so we hit it off, and
She never left.
He says I never left, but I did, and then I came back. So, I did not plan on getting one of those puppies, but he was like, she was the last one left, and he said, well, how about you just take her and put a handle on her, we'll start her, and then we'll sell her.
Smooth, Chad, smooth.
I don't know how that goes.
Smooth. So her whole plan was to get rid of the puppies and get rid of Chad. But Chad snuck in there and co-owned.
Yes. And
Give her
suckered
a reason to come back.
me into coming back.
Oh, gosh, I love it. Oh, I tell you what, that's great. That is hilarious. I can't wait to get Chad on here for his own podcast. So when we're talking to him, you can be in the background, like feeding it to him, and then it just comes full circle.
Gallery.
Didn't I tell you this was going to be a phenomenal podcast for us?
Oh, absolutely. This is great, man. I love it.
It never ends. It's crazy because it's just like God has just lined everything up for me, and it's everything I do is a blessing. Everything, there's a reason that God has placed the people and the dogs in my life that He has. Stop. And so there's a reason that He has placed everything, and He just keeps giving me blessings, and I think about it every day, like, what did I do to deserve this? And I just keep thanking Him for everything that He has given me and continues to give me.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So are you still competition hunting? I know your husband's been doing a bunch of winning. Don't spill the beans. I know he's been doing a bunch of winning lately. Are you still hunting too, or are you just running along supporting him?
So, in a lot of the bigger hunts, they need judges, non-hunting judges. And my female was a late starter. She's a really nice dog. I'm just enjoying her pleasure hunting. I miss competition hunting, and I'll take Country Boy every once in a while. But as far as really, really hunting hard, I don't really do it as much anymore because I don't have the time to hunt her like she needs to be hunted to get her ready for those hunts, because those dogs, I mean, if you're not treeing coons, you're not going to win. And, you have to have a dog that is clicking to be able to win and put that kind of entry fee up. You got to have a lot of faith in them. So if I hunted every night like I used to and really was able to hunt her like she should be, I would be able to hunt in the hunts, but I just don't see spending the money and not being 100% confident that I have a chance to win. Yep. So I go and I help judge, and I've judged at Super Stakes. I've judged at the Pro Classics. So I've gotten a good many rules learned through judging. So Chad told me, he said, if you ever want to learn the rules, you really, really need to judge, and that's how you'll learn them. So absolutely. I started getting a scorecard while I was hunting, and then now they call me and ask me to judge.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm just going to throw in there is, like, when I first started hunting and they first handed me the scorecard, I'll never forget it. I was over at the Monticello Coon Club, and Jordan Coble looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "You're judging tonight." I said, "Nope, I don't know the rules." He said, "Well, time to learn." Yep. And it's just, you get thrown into it, and it takes a while to get used to it, but I'm to the point now where when I'm on a cast, I would just as soon have the card and just go ahead and make sure that it's done correctly as to have somebody that you feel like, they don't know what they're doing, and then you're spending more time trying to explain the rules to them in the middle of the hunt. A good judge is imperative to a good hunt. And yes. I'm not saying that I'm a good judge. I'm just saying that a lot of times people shy away from it, and I think that if more people would learn to be the judge and just take the card every once in a while, it would be better all around, in my opinion.
Oh, yes. And when these guys are putting, like, there's one hunt down the road that we go to, and it's a $5,000 entry fee. You hunt 3 nights for the $5,000. But you really have to be on your P's and Q's as a judge in a hunt like that, because those guys they want you to judge it by the book. And, when it's that kind of entry fee, you really need a judge that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So really here we are, we're talking to Hannah, and she's not only had them as pets, she then started coon hunting. She's doing pickleball. Or I keep saying pickleball. I don't know why I say pickleball.
If
you
he
tried
didn't play
Kristen-
pickleball, we would be on YouTube.
I don't know why. That's Bryce. How many times have I called Flyball pickleball?
Every time we've talked about
I
it.
don't know why. But anyways, so she's doing the coon hunting. She's having shut up, Bryce. She's having them as pets. She's doing the dog grooming. I mean, really, what else dog related is on Hannah's to-do list that isn't already there?
We all know that canines can take us to some wild places, and some of those are only accessible by an off-road vehicle. No matter how hard you try to maintain your ride, something is bound to break on one of your adventures. When you find yourself looking for replacement parts, or maybe even a few upgraded parts to further try and prevent a breakdown, look no further than Never Satisfied Off-Road. Joey Goforth is the proud new owner of Never Satisfied Off-Road and is ready to serve you. Performance accessories such as lift kits, portals, tires, and more can all be found at Never Satisfied Off-Road. Located in Covington, Tennessee, the team at Never Satisfied Off-Road is ready to ship parts and accessories for your ride anywhere in the country. As their new website is currently being built, be sure to follow them on Facebook at Never Satisfied Off-Road 23 to keep up to date on the hottest items and sales. Give them a call at 731-693-9921 to place your order and get your ride ready to follow your canine wherever they may take you. Are you ready for the best part though? Mention that you heard this ad on the Semper Doggin podcast and you will receive a Semper Doggin approved listener discount.
I don't know. There's always something different that's out there. And of course, breeding. I guess breeding is another part of it.
Which takes us right into, what do you have at the house right now?
I have a 4-day-old litter of Old English Bulldogs, and let me tell y'all, it has been rough. It has been rough. So I bred her, and the biggest part of this breed is natural breedings. So that's one part. A lot of English Bulldogs cannot naturally breed. So they have to be AI'd, which is artificially inseminated. And to do that, you have to spend all this money. You have to progesterone test to make sure that they ovulate and make sure that you AI them at the correct time, which, I mean, the whole thing of AI with other breeds now is just convenience. Because people, and that's one thing that's crazy to me, is like with the coon hunting world, this guy over here, he'll take 2 days off of work, drive to Ohio, breed his dog, come back home. But the show confirmation people, they're like, just, collect and ship and AI, which is fine. So the fact that my two, and that's in our breed standard, is to be able to welt and breed naturally with no help. And a lot of times English Bulldogs do require a C-section, just because the shoulders and the heads are so big, they just can't physically have them. And so that's why when I bred them, I tried to let her welt natural, because it's very common for them to have puppies naturally. And so she went into pre-labor at like 5 o'clock Friday. And then at 1 o'clock in the morning, she had the first puppy naturally. The vet said 8 to 10, maybe 10, from the x-ray. And so she's sitting there every 45 minutes. She's popping out a puppy. I'm giving her calcium, because calcium helps with just everything whelp-wise. After every puppy, everyone's alive. She has puppy number 7, and it's breech. So, and it also, it was breech. So it was fine. It was alive. It was breathing. And then puppy number 8, he didn't have a sac. He wasn't in a sac, but he was fine, breathing, everything. So it was Saturday, and I was like, well, she's had 8. She should be done. I'm going to take her to the vet just to be sure that she's done. With it being a Saturday, I want to plan if I need, if the worst comes to shove, because, I had my coon dog that normally has puppies and barrels in the yard. And so she had to have a C-section. So in my back of my head, I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. So I take her to the vet. We do the x-ray. She has 4 more puppies. And at this point, she had been in heat for, she had been in labor for 12 hours. So it had been a long, long afternoon, evening, night, morning. And so we gave her a shot of oxytocin, which helps contract the uterus. And I brought her home. 30 minutes later, she had the 9th puppy. He wasn't breathing. I was able to get him resuscitated, mouth to mouth, suction bulb, shaking, the little flip thing where you clear their lungs.
Semper dogging, mouth to mouth and on the puppy. That is dedication.
I told you.
And so
I haven't kissed her yet.
And so I was able to get him breathing, and he started nursing. He was great. And then it was probably another 2.5 hours later, she had another puppy, and he was dead. But by this time, being in labor that long, you really, it's really hard to get puppies that are still alive. Normally you lose them by this time. And so she had that puppy. I tried to revive him, couldn't get him to breathe. So I was like, okay, I got to call it. Well, then I was like, she's looking really weak and tired, and she's got 2 more puppies left. And it was 5:00 in the afternoon at this point. And so I started calling around. We live next to Charleston, and I called 4 vets that were supposed to be emergency vets. 2 of them did not do emergency C-sections. 2 of them quoted me $5,000 to $7,000. So I go to my trusty vet upstate. So at this point, it is 8:00. I call them, and the vet, he goes, well, how far out are you? And I said, I'm 3.5 hours away. And he said, oh, okay, I can finish what I'm doing. He said, what's your ETA? And I said, 11:50. So I drive 3.5 hours upstate. They're waiting on me. They've got everything set up. He pulls her out of the car. And at this point, I didn't know, but she had a mummified puppy. And that means that they have died in the uterus, and they have already started decomposing, so infection. So at this point, she had this puppy. It probably died 2 or 3 days before she even went into labor. And so she's got infection in there, and, infection leads to septic. So she I was able to get her there, and she was very weak, very lethargic at this point. They took her back, and of course, both puppies were deceased. So, we were able to get her back. And so I had 9 puppies, which I was happy. I was very pleased with 9 puppies, and got her home and was able, to kind of sort of rest. I got her to my parents. And then the next day I made the 3.5 hour trek back home to get everything set up with the whelping box. Well, I was able to actually take a nap and breathe for a minute. And the little puppy number 9 that was not breathing when he was born, he started going downhill. And so I stayed up all night with him. He was in a nebulizer. I was suctioning his lungs, trying to make him eat. And he eventually passed that morning at about 7:00. Well, then I had my healthy 8. I was like, 8 puppies, that's still great. Well, I was up, every hour trying to catch a cat nap here and there. And I looked over in the whelping box because I was sleeping beside it. I looked over in the whelping box and I counted 8 puppies. Everybody was nursing. Then I laid back down for about 30 minutes, and I get up and I look over, and I only count 7. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I go over to the whelping box, and she has laid on him. So I lost another puppy then.
Oh,
so
no.
It was very, very rough. And people just don't talk about that part of breeding, about how hard it is. You might have 12 puppies, but depending on the mom, depending on, the circumstances, it all just kind of goes together. So, and I cried and I was tired, and people just don't give people that whelp puppies any credit. They really deserve all the credit.
It's tough for sure. I definitely understand that. We've been having some issues with these 2 litters that we got out here right now, and it's hard. You put a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you care about them. They're pets. Like, They're part of the family, and you don't want to lose any of them, you know? I mean, that'd just be like
No.
losing I don't know, anything else. I mean, cattle or like farmers. I mean, I know they put a lot of work into what they got going on too, and you lose one of those, and it's just devastating, you know? So,
Yeah, it really, really, really is. It's hard.
absolutely.
So yeah, when me and Bryce really started, just trying to line up people to kind of fit our mode of what we were trying to achieve here. One of the first names that I had thrown out was Hannah, due to the fact of not only hunting against her quite a few times, her sportsmanship, but just her passion. You can see it. I think Hannah really embodies what we're trying to accomplish here and what we're trying to give to the public, and that is always dogging. She's always doing something with dogs, and like I said, it's not just doing something, it's the passion that she carries with it, from her work to her pleasure to her relationships in her life to her marriage. Everything is surrounded by dogs.
Always dogging.
Always dogging.
Simper Doggin and Hometown Hero Outdoors are proud to partner together to bring you the Hometown Hero Outdoors Hero of the Week. This week's hero is Abby Sparks. Abby is a junior at Mechaniqua High School and has recently enlisted in the Army National Guard. Abby enjoys her red-bone coonhound, McGraw, and enjoys seeing him compete in sanctioned dog shows. Abby will be attending basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina this summer as she heads into her senior year of high school. Abby, from Simper Doggin and Hometown Hero Outdoors, we would like to say thank you for serving and protecting your community. Listeners, remember, if you have a hero of your own that you would like to recognize, please send their name and a brief description to simperdoggin@gmail.com and we will be glad to recognize them. If you would like more information on Hometown Hero Outdoors, be sure to visit them at hometownherooutdoors.org or follow them on Facebook. Oh man. All right. Well, Hannah, let's wrap this up with a funny story. Take us out on a high note. Now, I know there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's Basham's side, and somewhere in the middle there's the truth. Let's hear the story about how you had to go swimming in the Yankeetown bottoms.
All right. So I was hunting a dog for a friend of ours. He had qualified for the Super Stakes, but he wasn't able to go. And I was just going to spectate and support Chad with Country Boy. No, it was Super Stakes.
Yeah.
Because I hunted Thor. And so I was like, okay, sure, and we were able to split the cost. So, anytime you can get out a little bit cheaper, it helps. So, and I didn't really have to pay for anything because he really wanted the dog there. He really, really liked this dog. And so I had hunted with the dog one time on a windy night that really didn't, I think he had a den tree or something. And so I was going in this blind or deaf, I should say. And I hunted in the first night. I can't remember what night it was that we drew out.
Tuesday night.
Okay, so I hunted him one night, and he did okay. And then I drew out with you, and I didn't win. And the last tree, that boy, I think what was his name? Marcelo?
Yeah, that's Marcelo, the one that hunts for or was hunting for Ike Granny.
Yep. And so his dog was treed, and then the dog I was hunting was treed with it. And I think he ended up calling his dog across. And I was sitting there, and I was like, Thor, here. And he never stopped treeing. It was just all, and I could not get that dog to come to me. Well, everybody on the cast looked at me and said, well, what are you going to do? I said, what do you mean what am I going to do? I got to go get my dog. And so I took my waders off because I didn't know how deep it was. And I was mad because I think I could have made it cross up getting wet if I had my waders on. And so I took my waders off, and everybody, their eyes are like bulging out of their head. And I'm like, y'all do realize I'm from the low country. This is nothing. And so I waded across. I got the dog off the tree, and I came back. And when I came back, everybody was still just staring at me like, oh, my God, did she really just do this?
Now, okay.
So,
now
Bryce,
go ahead. And then I got a question.
Go ahead.
Well, no, so it's an awkward situation. You have to understand that for a man, right? Because you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. Because if you offer to say, hey, I'll go get your dog for you, well, then you're stepping on her toes, and by golly, she's a strong woman. She can go get it herself. But then if she goes and gets it, then you're darned for, well, why didn't you step up and help that poor lady out? I mean, every guy on that cast was in a lose-lose situation. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Oh, it gets worse, Bryce. It gets worse.
Well, give us the deets.
So this has happened at the end of the hunt. So at the end of the hunt, you know how it goes. Somebody's won and everybody else is scrounging trying to get their dog. And if you won and you still don't have your dog, you're really scrounging because now you want to get back to the club to get your dog some rest so that you can hunt the late round. Well, it just so happened that two of the dogs were in the same vicinity, hers and Marcelo's, and mine was way off to the right. And so I drove around and picked mine up, not knowing exactly where theirs was. So you've hunted down in the Yankeetown bottoms, and there's a lot of little inlets in that swamp, and it really does get bad in there. And I lived in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and hunted, and it gets about that bad, especially when the river comes up. I mean, Hannah, in them woods, in a lot of them trees, you'll see the watermarks, and it's 8, 9, 10 feet up in the air, and you're like, how the heck does the water get that high? And it really does. So it holds water quite a bit. But to make the story even a little worse was she comes through the water like a freaking swamp rat. And here I am standing there as she comes out of the water, and I go, down the water about 300 yards is a little bridge that you could have walked over that.
And she's over here cussing you because you're the guide and you didn't bother to tell him when it started. It's your fault.
She goes, well, no, because I had drove around to pick my dog up.
I don't want to hear your excuses. It's your fault.
They had just kept walking. She looked at me and she goes, really? I said, yeah, there's a little bridge right down there that you could have crossed and never got wet. She was not too happy with me. But the part that was... Do what?
Chad said he would have done the same thing.
The part that was actually more phenomenal than her going through the creek was she walked barefooted all the way back to the truck.
Nope.
I left my socks on.
That is a woman thing. Me and Nikki went hunting this year. The opening night of coon season, she got something in her boot. Something happened to boots. I don't know what it was. She kicked them daggone things off and just started walking, carrying them. I'm like, dude, what? Like,
we're talking like 0.6 of a mile back to the truck.
Yeah,
and she's walking barefooted.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but man, that's pretty classic. Well, guys, we have covered a ton here, from the flyball / pickleball to the confirmation shows. We got dog grooming. We got swamp rats swimming ditches and the super stakes. This has been fun. I have had a blast. Basham, good job. Good job picking out our guest tonight.
Hey, no problem. No problem. It was, like I said, it was an easy pick. When we're looking for people that are literally live this life, she definitely is at the top of the list. She was definitely one of the first candidates that I thought about. Like I said, I know quite a bit about her background and what she does, and I just couldn't wait to get her on here and let her share the story with the rest of our listeners.
Absolutely. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. Chad's been chiming in the background, and that's easy to do when you're not on camera or in front of the mic. But we're going to set him down here in a couple weeks, and we're going to let you two swap places, and then we'll see how much he's got to say.
Yeah, we'll see how much truth he tells, where he kind of fibs a little bit.
For some reason, I don't think Chad's going to be too shy.
No, I don't think he will either.
No, he'll love the camera.
Oh, it's just, how could you not when you got hair like that and rocking that bandana? I mean, made for the camera.
For Chad, I believe we're going to have to set a timer down in the right-hand corner to let us know when the roughly hour is up, because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of rabbit holes.
Yes.
I'm going to make it a 2-hour.
2-hour special, he said.
Hey, we can do it. We don't have any rules over here, baby. We can do what we want to do. 2-hour special,
yes,
you got
sir.
it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight here on Semper Dog. And Miss Hannah, thank you for joining us. Basham, pleasure to have you as always.
Yes,
guys,
sir.
Thank you to our sponsors, Froggy Bottom Outdoors and Never Satisfied Off-Road. Without them, we absolutely could not do it. Make sure you guys check out Hometown Hero Outdoors. You know, we've already sponsored our Hometown Hero Outdoor Hero of the Week, and we're going to continue to do that every time on these podcasts. That's something that we believe in and a mission that we believe in. So make sure you check them out. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but make sure you go over and follow us on our Facebook page, Semper Dog and Podcast Group. That's where everybody can interact. You can hang out, post your videos, post your pictures, and then while you're there, follow the Semper Dog and Facebook page. That's where you're going to find all of your information. So, a little confusing, but you're going to figure it out. I promise. While you're over here listening to us, if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe onto wherever you're listening to us, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I should say, Spotify, Google Podcast, anywhere you're listening to, iHeartRadio, we're there. Give us a like and subscribe. Basham, you got something?
Yes, just make sure, listeners, our plan is to have this video live on YouTube. That I'll let Bryce he is our technical expert, so he's been dealing with all that. I'll let him go into what exactly our plan is for these live videos. Yeah,
for sure. So I wouldn't say I'm a technical expert. We have been struggling lately, but I am figuring it out. I'm the man who gets to figure it out. So
I'm trying to give you a little prop, a little.
No, I just don't take it. But guys, no, so, we're recording all these podcasts and putting them everywhere that you can listen to podcasts. But what we're also trying to do is get these video recordings so you can interact with us a little bit more. You can see this conversation, and we appreciate Hannah for kind of being a test dummy for us on this. Hopefully it works.
First one.
Yeah, absolutely. So these will be posted to YouTube where you'll be able to watch the podcast as well. I know that's a big thing. Hopefully it will. I'm going to say this and it probably won't work, but guys, that's our plan, is to get this information out anywhere that you can listen, get it onto YouTube where you can watch it as well. I think I'm good to go there. Basham, you got anything else?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you very much, Hannah, for taking the time out of your busy dogging schedule and entertaining us for a little while.
And I appreciate y'all having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off here. Y'all keep dogging until next time.
Take care.
Bye, y'all.